Hello everyone, this is Group 9 who will be presenting the article Do Outside Directors and New Managers Help Improve Firm Performance? An exploratory study in Russian privatization. The presenters will be Sarmiento Hernandez Diego, Sarmiento Hernandez Laura, Shaikh Sophia, and Suli Hadiola. Our agenda will be introduction, methodology, hypothesis, findings and discussion, Cenovus Energy, which is our company, application, and conclusion. The article Do Outside Directors and New Managers Help Improve Firm Performance is an exploratory study in Russian privatization by Peng et al. It explores the impact of outside directors and new managers on firm performance in the context of Russian privatization, relating it to the agency theory. In this article, the authors used a sample of 314 Russian firms that underwent privatization during the 90s from 6 regions and examine whether the appointment of outside directors and new managers after privatization is associated with improved firm performance. They measure firm performance using several financial indicators such as return on assets, sales growth, and profitability. The article used empirical analysis and secondary data to examine impact of outside directors and new managers on firm performance in the context of Russian privatization. The study made use of dependent variables, independent variables, and control, testing outside directors and new managers. The study also used regression analysis and differences approach to control for other factors that could affect firm performance and address the endogeneity issue.
So in this article, we have two different hypotheses. The first one suggests that outside board members are positively associated with firm performance, and the second hypothesis affirms that new managers are positively associated with firm performance. So, regarding the first hypothesis, it suggests that in privatized Russian firms, the presence of outside board members is positively associated with firm performance. This hypothesis is based on the idea that outside board members are more aligned with the interests of outside investors and can effectively monitor top management decisions, leading to better firm performance. This hypothesis suggests that outside ownership, particularly when it is concentrated among certain types of owners, such as blockholders, funds, foreigners, and/or banks, is more likely to facilitate restructuring and improve the performance of privatized firms. The authors argue that outside ownership can help to minimize agency problems and provide better incentives for agents to perform, leading to greater efficiency and effective restructuring. Now, in terms of hypothesis 2, it suggests that when incumbent management fails to deliver desirable performance, performance is likely to improve when new managers are brought in. New managers can improve the performance of privatized Russian firms. This hypothesis suggests that new managers who are typically younger, more adaptive, and less influenced by the old way of SOE management can replace old guard managers and lead the firms to better performance. However, since most new managers are likely to be insiders, they may still pose agency problems associated with insider control. So this hypothesis suggests that performance is likely to improve when new managers are brought in to replace incumbent management that has failed to deliver desirable performance. The authors argue that this can help to overcome agency problems and provide better incentives for agents to perform, leading to greater efficiency and improved performance.
The study investigated the relationship between governance factors, outside directors and new managers, and firm performance, profits, and return on investment in Russian firms. The study used order probit models to test two standard agency theories hypotheses. The data from 226 to 303 firms were collected, and correlations between dependent, independent, and control variables were analyzed. The study did not find any significant interaction effects between outside directors and new managers. The results showed no significant positive relationships between outside board members who represent outside investors and new managers and firm performance. The eight models, using different combinations of independent variables, yield consistent results that fail to provide support for this hypothesis. Therefore, the study concludes that the standard agency theory hypotheses do not explain the relationship between governance factors and firm performance, and further research is needed to explore the topic. So, the standard agency theory assumptions may not be applicable to Russian firms, and further research is needed to understand the governance mechanisms that drive firm performance in this context. The discussion revolves around two major topics: agency theory and methodological limitations. The authors examined whether the agency theory is appropriate to apply to the empirical context of the Russian privatization program, given its intellectual tradition, strong practitioner support in the West, and widespread application in transition economies. They argue that the agency theory's logic behind their hypothesis seems to be straightforward, robust, and uncontroversial. Moreover, the authors point out that their methodology followed an interview-based key informant design used by virtually all other published surveys conducted in Russia cited earlier. The authors acknowledge that the self-reported nature of their data could not be triangulated for the whole sample, which could lead to potential methodological weakness. However, they believe that their data, like all other data, may contain errors, but not systematically. The authors argue that their data is acceptable as long as informants did not over or underreport data by a certain margin. Additionally, they suggest that employing large sample data in the knowledge that biases would be cancelled out to some extent is a widely used tactic. They also point out that the Russian enterprise environment exorbitant corporate tax rates could lead to underreporting of profits and rates of return. Their use of managers' perceptions of returns on a Likert scale reduces the likely impact on this phenomenon. Finally, the lack of support for their hypothesis may be a matter of survey timing, and subsequent studies in more stable periods with a flat rate corporate tax rate are needed. Cenovus Energy Inc. is a Canadian integrated oil and natural gas company that focuses on the development, production, and marketing of crude oil, natural gas liquids, and natural gas in Canada and in the United States. The company was founded in 2009 and is headquartered in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Cenovus Energy's operations include oil sands projects in northern Alberta, conventional oil and natural gas production in Alberta and British Columbia, and natural gas and oil production in the Deep Basin region of Western Canada. The company also has refineries in the United States and a network of pipelines and storage facilities. Cenovus Energy is committed to sustainability and has set targets to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions and increase its use of renewable energy sources. The company also supports the communities where it operates through various social and environmental initiatives. Cenovus Energy is publicly traded on the Toronto Stock Exchange and the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol CVE. As of September of 2021, the company had a market capitalization of approximately 17.7 Canadian billion dollars. We decided to pick this company since on February 16th of 2023, according to Reuters, Cenovus Energy announced that John McKenzie, the company's current chief operating officer, will become its next president and chief executive. This decision came after the Canadian oil and gas producer reported a net profit for the fourth quarter as compared to a loss in the previous year. With this change, the company's main priorities have been directed towards increasing production by 3 to 5% annually, reducing debt, and providing returns to its shareholders.
Furthermore, as a paper talks about the positive relation of having outside directors and new managers for better firm performance in privatized company, but due to lack of sufficient data, it did not concluded with providing the same. However, while relating the paper with the Synovus, a publicly listed Canadian company, we found more evidence of having outside directors and new managers in better firm performance when it comes to oil and gas industry. Firstly, on February 10, 2015, the company adopted the first board diversity policy where board nominations are made on merit in the context of their skills, differences, expertise, experience, and independence, which the board as a whole requires to be effective. Moreover, as the Board of Directors Committee monitor Canadian and US regulatory development, the team consists of internal and external directors who ensure long-term success with a view to maximize shareholder value and ensure corporate conduct. As there are 13 members in the committee who not only directly relate with Synovus as an employee, however, they are expertise in the oil and gas field, which brings in more advantage and value to the company. So, for the managers, they are the internal employee of the company who looks after the day-to-day operation in home and host country, that is, Canada and USA. At Synovus, there are 10 members in their leadership team who not only monitors individual department but also look over the company growth as a whole. The role of the managers is to execute on company business plan and continue to increase value for internal and external shareholders. Now, let us look into the Synovus firm performance. It can be seen that there has been drastic improvement over the years as the director and the managers of the firm were able to reduce long-term debt, including current portion, by $8.7 billion from $12.4 billion at the end of 2021 and drove down net debt by more than half. In 2022, the company also returned more than $2.5 billion in value through its share buyback program and delivered over $900 million to shareholders in both base and variable dividends. In November 2022, the company also received Toronto Stock Exchange approval to purchase up to approximately 137 million additional shares by November 2023 and will continue to view buybacks opportunistically. This shows their overall growth over the years due to the involvement of their internal and external team, all working towards the end goal of creating a shareholder value for the company. So, in conclusion, it is seen that the Synovus is a multinational company as they operate in Canada and USA. Also, it was found that its effective decision for the firm to appoint outside directors significantly improved in their returns on asset and profitability, while the firm that appoints new manager experienced significant improvement in their production growth.